Okay, let's be honest. Digital marketing, it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot to keep up with.
Right. New platforms, new strategies, it can be overwhelming.
Definitely.
So what if we had a roadmap, like a proven system for navigating it all?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Oh, perfect.
AdwayCreative's growth engine.
Growth engine.
It's not magic or anything like that.
Right.
But it is a very structured approach to digital marketing.
Okay.
And one that consistently gets great results.
Coming up, we're going to break down the 2 key components
Yeah.
that make this engine hum.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll look at their core service offerings and their step-by-step process.
We'll look at why it's so effective.
Even as the digital world, continues to change so rapidly.
Yeah, it's always evolving.
All right, so let's start with the foundation.
Okay.
AdwayCreative's core services.
All right.
They offer 6 main categories.
Yes.
Each one playing a specific role in that growth engine.
Right.
Can you walk us through those?
Yeah, absolutely. So first up, we have research and planning.
Research and planning.
Think of this as laying the foundation for like a skyscraper.
Okay.
You have to understand the environment before you start building.
Sure.
The soil, the wind patterns, the whole thing.
Yeah.
AdwayCreative does the same for your brand.
Okay.
Analyzing the market, the competition.
Got it.
But most importantly, they're really focusing on your target audience.
Okay, so even before we're thinking about ads or content, they figure out who the brand is trying to reach and what are those people all about.
Exactly.
Now, this seems pretty fundamental. Like, why do so many businesses skip this step?
It's tempting to jump right to the flashy stuff, ads and fancy designs.
Yeah.
But without a strong foundation, your whole effort,
Yeah.
it's shaky.
All right, so that makes a lot of sense, and that actually leads us perfectly into the next service, which is content and creativity.
That's right.
Okay, so next we'll explore how AdwayCreative actually brings those insights to life, the ones from the research. But before we get there, can you give us a specific example of how understanding your audience can actually change a marketing strategy?
Sure. Let's say you're a company selling high-end coffee beans.
Okay, like really good coffee.
Yeah, the best. And you might assume that your target audience is all about like latte art
Sure.
and, fancy blends.
Yeah, makes sense.
But through research, AdwayCreative discovers that what your customers actually care about is sustainability
Oh, interesting.
and ethical sourcing.
Okay.
So suddenly your content shifts from showcasing latte art to highlighting fair trade practices
Oh, wow.
and eco-friendly packaging.
Okay, so it completely changes the messaging.
Exactly. That's the power of research.
Makes total sense. The content needs to connect with the audience's values,
Yeah,
not just, their taste buds or whatever.
absolutely.
So how does AdwayCreative approach content and creativity?
They understand that content is king,
Right.
but it has to be the right kind of content,
Okay.
delivered creatively and through the right channels.
So what does that look like?
They craft all sorts of content from blog posts and social media updates to videos, even interactive experiences.
Wow.
It's all about grabbing attention in this, really crowded digital world.
Makes sense.
Remember that interesting detail we saw about Facebook? Before 2005, their main income came from selling basic flyers
Wow.
to colleges and businesses.
Really?
Even back then, content was key.
That's wild how things have evolved.
Yeah,
But yeah, the basic principle remains the same. You need compelling content to cut through.
you got it.
All right, so coming up, we're going to dig into how AdwayCreative makes sure that content actually gets seen by the right people.
Yeah, that's important.
But before we move on, can you give us like a specific example of how their creative approach has worked for a client?
Sure. They worked with this local bakery
Right.
who was struggling to compete with the big chains.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on generic product shots,
Well-
they created this series of charming videos
Okay.
showcasing the bakery's history, the owner's passion,
Oh, I love that.
the handmade quality of their goods.
Yeah.
It was a huge hit. The videos went viral on social media, drove a ton of foot traffic and online orders.
That's so cool. It's such a great example of how creativity can really humanize a brand
Yeah,
and make it relatable.
absolutely.
Okay, so now let's talk about getting that content in front of the right people.
Okay.
And that's where advertising and management comes in.
Yes.
What's their strategy there?
It's all about strategic targeting.
Okay.
They use platforms like Google, Facebook, Instagram, Yandex, even LinkedIn.
Wow. A lot of platforms.
Yeah, making sure your message reaches the people who are most likely to be interested.
We're not just like blasting it out to everyone and hoping for the best.
No, not at all.
Well,
It's about precision and efficiency.
got it.
They're constantly monitoring and optimizing campaigns.
So they're tweaking things as they go.
Yeah, always making data-driven adjustments to maximize your return on investment.
Makes sense because you don't want to just be throwing money away.
Right.
Right. So it's not just about creating the ads, but it's also about managing them over time.
Exactly. Ongoing management is key.
So coming up, we'll talk about how AdwayCreative uses the power of data to refine those campaigns even further.
Yes, we'll get into that.
But I have to ask, what happens if a business doesn't have a clear picture of their target audience?
That's where AdwayCreative's research and planning expertise is really valuable.
Okay.
They can help you identify your ideal customer profile,
Okay.
analyze your existing customer base, even do some market research to pinpoint opportunities.
So they can help fill in those gaps?
Absolutely. It all comes back to that solid foundation we talked about.
That makes sense. It all starts with understanding who you're trying to reach.
You got it.
Okay, so let's talk about data now.
Okay.
AdwayCreative's fourth service category is setup and data analysis.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty techy. What's going on there?
It's about taking raw data and turning it into insights.
Like that.
They set up tracking systems to monitor everything from website traffic to social media engagement to ad clicks conversions, that kind of thing.
Wow, so they're tracking a lot.
Yeah, this data is really valuable. It tells you what's working, what's not,
Okay.
and where you should focus your efforts.
So it's not just collecting data for the sake of it.
No, they're using it to make smart decisions and improve the campaigns.
Okay, next we'll explore how they take that analysis even further by leveraging technology.
Yes, we'll dive into that.
I'm excited to hear more.
Okay, so let's talk about how AdwayCreative leverages technology,
Yeah.
to make that data work even harder.
Okay.
So their fifth service category is optimization and technology.
Optimization and technology.
Yeah, and they use cutting-edge tools and technologies like AI-powered ad optimization,
Okay.
fraud prevention systems,
Right.
and sophisticated tracking software.
So it's really about taking things to the next level.
Exactly. And remember those systems we talked about earlier, HitLock and KPI Sense?
Yeah, coming up, I definitely want to hear more about those. But first, can you paint a picture for us? Like, how does this all work in practice?
Sure.
Like, what's an example of how AdwayCreative used technology to really improve a client's campaign?
Okay, so they worked with this e-commerce company who was struggling with wasted ad spend.
Woof, yeah, that's a problem.
Right. So by implementing HitLock,
Okay.
they identified and blocked fraudulent clicks.
So they're saving money right off the bat.
Yes, thousands of dollars each month.
Wow.
And then using KPI Sense,
Okay.
they were able to dynamically adjust the ad budgets in real time.
So they're being really responsive.
Right. Based on the performance data,
And what was the result?
they saw a 30% increase in return on ad spend.
That's huge.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
So they're using AI to not only save money, but also make their campaigns more effective.
Exactly. It's a powerful combination.
Now tell me more about HitLock and KPI Sense.
Okay.
Like, how do these systems actually work?
Okay, so HitLock uses machine learning algorithms
Okay.
to analyze patterns in website traffic, and it identifies any suspicious activity.
Oh, so it's like a digital detective.
Kind of, yeah. It's like having a security guard
Okay.
constantly monitoring for bots and click farms.
Yeah, those things that are just trying to like drain your budget.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about KPI Sense?
So KPI Sense is all about optimization.
Got it.
It takes data from your campaigns, things like click-through rates,
Uh-huh.
conversion rates, cost per click,
Okay.
and uses AI to adjust your bids and budgets in real time.
Wow. So it's always making sure you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Exactly. That's the goal.
Okay, so it's not just about setting up these campaigns and then letting them run on autopilot.
No, you have to be actively managing and optimizing them.
Okay, so that's a really key differentiator.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so now let's move on to the final service category,
Right.
retention and churn prevention.
All right.
What's their approach to keeping those hard-won customers coming back for more?
It's all about building relationships.
Oh,
They help businesses develop loyalty programs, craft personalized email campaigns, create engaging content
right.
so that customers want to stick around.
So it's not just about getting that initial sale, it's about keeping people happy in the long run.
Exactly. They understand that acquiring new customers is expensive.
Yeah, it is.
So they focus on maximizing customer lifetime value.
Now, remember that case study we saw where they
Yes.
created those 12 super focused customer segments?
Yeah, that's a great example of how they personalize their approach.
Okay, so they're not just sending out generic messages to everyone.
No, it's all about tailoring the message to the specific needs of each customer.
That's really smart.
It's the key to long-term success.
All right, so we've covered the 6 main services that make up this growth engine.
Right.
Now let's get into the how.
Okay, sounds good.
Coming up, we're going to walk through their step-by-step process
Right.
and see how it all fits together.
Yeah, we'll uncover how they go from that research to strategy to execution and how data plays a role every step of the way.
I'm excited to dive in.
Me too. Let's do it.
Okay, so where does this process even begin? Okay, so we've talked about data analysis and why it matters, but it's really what you do with that data, that makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
So how does AdwayCreative actually put those insights to work?
That's where data-driven optimizations come in.
Okay, data-driven optimization.
Yeah, it's all about constantly improving.
Got it.
They take the insights from the data and use them to, tweak the campaign, adjust the budget, maybe even change the messaging or the channels.
Oh, so they're not afraid to switch things up?
No, it's about being flexible and responsive.
Okay, so they're not just setting it and forgetting it.
Definitely not. It's active management all the way.
So what's an example of a data-driven optimization that really made a difference for a client?
Okay, so they worked with this software company who was getting a lot of clicks on their ads, but not many conversions.
Oh, so people were interested but not buying.
Exactly. And by digging into the data, they realized that the landing page wasn't really resonating with the target audience.
Interesting.
So they made some tweaks to the messaging, the design,
Okay.
and boom, conversion rates went way up.
So they fixed the problem.
Yep, they found the weak spot and addressed it.
That's a great example of how data can really reveal those hidden problems and opportunities.
Yeah, it gives you that insight you need.
Okay, so now let's talk about making those messages even more effective.
All right.
Coming up, we'll explore how AdwayCreative uses audience segmentation to personalize their approach.
Yes, segmentation is key.
But first, can you explain, why is that so important in today's digital world?
Well, think about it. We're all bombarded with messages constantly.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right. So to cut through all that noise,
Yeah.
you have to make sure your message is really relevant and targeted.
Okay.
That's where audience segmentation comes in.
Got it.
It allows you to divide your audience into smaller groups based on shared characteristics, demographics, interests, behavior.
Right.
And then tailor your message to speak directly to those specific needs and desires.
So it's all about making it personal.
Yeah, it's like speaking different languages.
Right.
You wouldn't use the same sales pitch to a teenager
Yeah.
as you would to a retired executive.
Exactly. So they're creating different messages for different people.
Exactly. It's all about hitting the right note.
Okay, so now once you've acquired these customers, how do you keep them coming back for more?
That's where customer retention comes in.
Customer retention.
Yep. AdwayCreative helps businesses develop strategies to build loyalty and prevent churn.
Okay.
So things like loyalty programs, personalized emails, special discounts.
Oh, that makes sense. Rewards for loyal customers.
Yeah, it's much easier and more cost-effective to keep a happy customer
Right.
than to constantly be chasing new ones.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here.
Right.
Research planning, content creation, advertising, data analysis, and customer retention.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it's a whole system.
It is.
But it sounds like it doesn't stop there.
No, it keeps going.
So coming up, we'll explore the final piece of AdwayCreative's process.
Right.
Data-driven strategy enhancements.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
It means they're always learning and evolving.
Okay.
They're not just analyzing data during the campaign, but they're using it to continuously improve their overall approach.
So it's a never-ending process.
In a way, yeah, it's about constantly looking for ways to get better.
So they're not afraid to experiment and see what works.
Exactly. They embrace that iterative process.
But with all this talk about data and technology, does the human element ever get lost?
That's a great question, and the answer is no.
Okay, good.
They use technology to make things more efficient,
Sure.
but they never forget that marketing is about connecting with people.
Right. It's about emotions.
Exactly. Data and technology are just tools.
Powerful tools.
Yes, but still just tools.
So it's not about replacing humans with robots.
Not at all. It's about empowering humans to do their best work.
So AdwayCreative has really built this growth engine by combining their services with this structured, data-driven approach.
They have, and it's clear that they're committed to staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, but what does this all mean for our listener?
Yeah.
How can they apply these principles to their own business or goals?
The key takeaway is that a structured approach is essential in digital marketing today.
Okay.
It's not enough to just have good content or run some ads.
Right.
You need a strategy, a plan, and you got to be willing to analyze and optimize constantly.
So it's about building that growth engine for your own business.
Exactly.
And one final thought here. Remember that stat we saw about Facebook?
Yeah.
They're projected to reach over 3 million users by 2027.
It's a huge audience.
It is. What opportunities does that present, and how can our listeners leverage them?
Well, the digital landscape is always evolving.
Yeah.
And those who embrace a structured, data-driven approach will be the ones who thrive.
So stay curious, keep learning, and keep experimenting. All right, well, that wraps up our deep dive into AdwayCreative's approach to digital marketing.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, this was great. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
I hope so.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep growing.